Awesome. Pleasure to welcome to the podcast Finn Landy. He's a goalie for Columbia College. Finn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Been a long time fan. Happy to join you here.
Well, I'm glad we're able to make it happen. I'm pumped for this. Finn, could you tell us a story of the first time you jumped into goal? You remember that?
I've seen your podcast once, so I was trying to think about like that exact story, and I don't specifically remember it, but my dad tells it. My cousin played goalie, and I started playing in like third grade, and so we went to practice, and apparently the coaches were like they were asking everybody like whatever their experience was and stuff like that, and they finally got to like who wants to play goalie, and nobody raised their hand. I was like me, and so I've been in there since third grade playing for about 17 years now and haven't left the 6x6. So
I love it.
I just stuck with it.
I love it. What was it about the position that made you want to volunteer, do you think?
So it was my older cousin Paul played and he was a pretty good goalie in Greensboro, North Carolina, Page High School, and I just wanted to be like my cousin Paul. So I just gave it a shot and I just fell in love with it and I just had a bit of a knack for it and always stuck with it. So
Yeah.
that was kind of how we got into it and stayed with it.
Yeah. I mean, what would you say is your favorite thing about being the lacrosse goalie after all these years?
I think like a lot of people like I'll see like on Instagram and stuff, people talking about like flow state. And I think whenever you get in a flow state with the goalie position and you're seeing everything and saving everything, the adrenaline that you get from it, it's unmatched. And I like being able to lead. I love communicate and being able to lead a group of guys and it's just a good time every time I'm in there. And I've been doing it for so long now that I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that feeling of making a save. I mean, if you can do a flow state for an entire game, and that's a feeling unmatched by any other. But even just one little segment of that of making a save is just such an awesome
Yes,
feeling.
sir.
And your whole team gets behind you, and yeah, it's just such an awesome feeling.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, North Carolina is. Well, what's the lacrosse scene like? I mean, you started at third grade, so I guess they got youth programs. I mean, talk to me about kind of the lacrosse scene about around where you grew up.
I'm from Raleigh, which is like the triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill kind of area. And
Hmm.
so you've got UNC and Duke there, and in the Apex area, which is right outside of Raleigh, it's kind of like a little outskirt. It's got a in Cary, which is known for a centralized area of relocated Yankees. So we've got a lot of people from up north coming down, and so we've got a lot of Northerners who brought us lacrosse, and a lot of people from who went to UNC and Duke who kind of stuck around. So Raleigh's a sneaky little area that's got a good amount of lacrosse. I first started playing. They called it Rage Lacrosse. It was over at Ravenscroft High School, which was like private school, and we would do that, and then we would have Coast to Coast over the summer, which was coached by this guy Kirk Parker who played at UNC, and I played with his son all the way through high school, and so he and this guy Brad Rice, who coaches a middle school team in the area, who's still in contact with now. He's an amazing guy. They boosted up the lacrosse around the area. They had experience with it, and they brought it to us and really taught it to us the right way, in my opinion.
Nice. So when as a youth, when you're learning the goalie position, are like, is it from those sessions, or were there maybe some Duke or UNC guys helping you out, or how'd you learn how to make saves on a more consistent basis?
Like I can't really starting out. I think early years it was definitely them helping me out, and then going just in the backyard with my dad and getting shot on. And all honesty, like in middle school and early high school, like a lot of what I learned through lacrosse and drills and stuff like that was through your website. Like, I mean, I was all over. I think I probably read every blog on Lax Goalie Rat from your first one to like till probably now. Like, I mean, I was obsessed with this stuff. I just loved the position, and your site just had had such a wide library of stuff, and just for anybody who's a nerd about the position, it was unbelievable.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. You were 5,000 of my 6,000 monthly views, huh?
I was definitely a good amount of them. I was
Yeah.
definitely a good amount of them.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, when I first started Lax Goalie Rat, I wrote like I just wrote and wrote, and I wrote like a blog post. I think I wrote a blog post every single day, and like not even all of them made it like published, but
Hmm.
yeah, I just developed this library, and a lot of people kind of discovered me through that.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And then like I could kind of like link articles together. So like, if I'm talking in one post and I mentioned the mental game, then I'd link over there. And a lot of people like you have said they've just gone on this little
Yeah.
like
You just start
spider
clicking and
web.
clicking and clicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
No,
love
for
it.
sure.
That's cool. Um, and then what about, watching college lacrosse or pro lacrosse for that matter? I know, I've done these save edits, where I kind of just look at the saves, and I know you've told me that like you've used those
hmm
used those quite a bit to sort of break down how these guys play. So who have you watched and what have you learned?
So growing up, I mean, there's all these like warrior videos with, or it might have been, I think it might have been Maverick, but Drew Adams, he did
Oh
like all
yeah.
these goalie instructional videos, and I loved watching him play. And then like John Galloway, like how I play off the pipe now is completely from watching videos of him and how he did it, how he just kind of gets straight up and covers up those angles. And then, I mean, like you said, those goalie edits. Loved watching Colin Barron playing growing up. Just I was a huge UNC fan, so any UNC goalie. I think the one that I remember, I think his name was Kieran Burke when I was probably right about middle school and going, and that was right around when Marcus Holman and Sankey were there and all that. So I think he was number 26, and I thought he was the coolest guy in the world. So a lot of Kieran Burke growing up, and just pretty much anybody who you posted on those save edits I was watching.
Love it. Love it. And I think you also showed me like a way that you use the save edits of like
Yes,
sort of,
sir.
yeah, like not only watching the goalie because that's super important to watch, but like kind of using
hmm
them to read shooters. Could you talk to me a little bit
hmm
about that?
So like what I'll do is whenever I'm watching those, I did it. I was doing it last night with your edit of the PLL championship game, and it's so pretty much I'll just watch the shooters and watch it in live speed, and so pretty much I'll try to time it up with when that shooter releases and when the goalie is kind of meeting the ball in the save. And so it's you're just trying to time up that reaction and read the ball through the video and stuff like that. So it's just whenever you can't see shots or something like that. And I think I was somebody I played at South Carolina, so we were a club and we didn't practice as much. So I think I found a little bit of value in not seeing shots all the time as much, and so that was like another way to like kind of replicate that reaction time without beating up your body and beating up your mind, seeing a bunch of shots all the time.
Mm-hmm. And like, so basically, you're watching the play, the guy's about ready to release, and you hit pause, right? And just
Yes,
kind
sir.
of take a look at it and just see, based on this play and my lacrosse IQ, like where do I think this dude's going to shoot?
hmm
Give it another couple clips forward, and did he shoot there? And just watch the goalie save and his reaction. And yeah, I
Yes,
think
sir.
I think you can learn a lot like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like you're saying, it really helps you learn how to read shooters. I mean, early on growing up, like you were asking people to taught me stuff. Like I remember I had like a middle school coach who would talk about looking at the eyes of the stick. And I think that's a good thing to really teach you younger goalies. But as you get older and older, you got to shooters have different tendencies and stuff, and they hide your stick. So you can't necessarily see that. So you got to learn how to read wrists. You got to learn how to read shoulders. You got to learn how to read like the angle of the stick and all of that. So just anything that you can kind of pick up off of those shooters through those videos and stuff like that is
Yeah.
you because everybody has different tells and stuff like that. And you can kind of there's people like goalies learn from other goalies, shooters learn from other shooters. So people typically have consistent patterns, even if it's different people.
Yeah. And one of those patterns, I mean, like one of the main patterns, like I think especially at the youth level, is like a lot of the shooters love to just pull that shot like across their body, right? So if I'm sweeping down
Mm,
the right alley, I mean, odds are I'm going to shoot if it's a righty goalie, I'm going to shoot to his stick side as I pull it
yes,
across,
sir.
right? And what other tendencies have you seen?
Like a lot of times, like as like what I'll see a lot now, especially you'll see it from like there's just one lefty attackman, or actually I've got a high school attackman that I coach, Sean Egan, that shoots on me. This kid that plays at South Carolina, Nathan Wolf, and you'll notice the release pattern is completely the same, and then how they snap their wrist at the end is kind of
Mm.
like a lot of times they'll be showing to like the off stick side or stick side, and then they'll snap and bring it in. I would when I was warming up my goalies at South Carolina last year, that was I can shoot the ball about 40 miles an hour on a good day, and so I had to find different ways to be able to score on them when I was shooting bouncers and warming them up. And so I would really try to show my body and then use my wrist to kind of snap it. So I think as you get to different levels, you just gotta. I think you can read, but also there's a lot of value in just being patient and sitting on it and wait until that ball comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like at a certain point, like you just get so much in your head about like I think it's going to go here, I think it's going to go, and then you're
Hmm.
not like seeing the shot and reacting to it. So there is a lot of value in that,
Yeah,
right? Just
I
being
think it's kind
set
of
and
learning
reacting.
learning that balance between how I'm going to read this guy, but I'm not thinking that I got the cheat code on it, but I can
Right.
have an expectation. And if it does go to where I'm thinking, great, I'm gonna react to it a little bit quicker, but I'm also not putting all my chips into that card, which I mean sometimes I do. I like I posted a video the other day. Like a lot of times I'll start to like if I'm sitting kind of on my pipe where it's I call it so like if I'm going right to left, if I'm in my two spot, my arc, I'll typically kind of think that they're gonna go to that off stick side because that's a little bit harder of a save to make. And so I'll start to fade my body that way and end up having to reach back that way. So I think
Yeah.
sometimes I can overread a little bit, but I
Yeah.
think there's value in it if you can find the perfect mix and the perfect balance. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you say that. It makes me think of, did you watch any Will Mark? Have you ever watched Will Mark play?
yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
like he's such a big dude that like he would do that where like he would kind of cover the his butt with his body one side of the pipe and make a lot of these saves where then he would like kind of reach
Hmm.
back and grab it with his stick, which was kind of interesting. I never got to talk to him about that technique, but when you said that, it like made me think of that right there.
That's where like when you said that a lot, like comes to mind a lot is like Intamin. And like Intamin is awesome. He is probably one of, if not the best goalies in the world right now.
Right.
But he's 6'5", however much he weighs, and he can live a little bit with like reacting earlier or something like that. Whereas somebody like me who's 5'6", or and if I start to react one way, I'm giving up a lot more goal. But if I stay
Right.
square, I can take up that similar amount of space. And especially with like younger goalies who are more close to my size than they are intimate size, I think it's important to kind of preach that patience and just kind of simplistic goaltending.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Hmm.
Yeah, and watch, goalies that are our height. I'm 5'8", so watch those Logan McNaney's and like they're just so
Hmm.
like fundamental, right? And they don't do these like weird cheat things that because they're so tall allows them to get away with it. I remember I posted a video of Entenmann warming up and there's like a bounce shot and he goes down to his knees and then just the bouncer's going right in the corner and he just snags it, from his knees in the corner.
Yeah.
And like if I do
Yeah.
that, like I'm not gonna reach the top. So we got to be a little bit more. We got to play different. Let's put it that way.
Yes, sir. He's
Yeah.
special though. He's
Yeah.
certainly a lot of fun to watch.
There's a lot of great goalies right now that I love watching, right?
Uh,
And all, they're all got their different style. Like Blaze is so unique, Entenmann's so unique, Logan McNaney's so unique. And it's really cool. It's really cool to watch
mhm.
these guys ball out. I know do you I know you do that. Entenmann does this like sort of butterfly sort of technique to like
Mhm.
kind of cover up that five hole. And I know that's something that you were kind of coaching as well. Can you talk about that?
So yeah, I mean, like I definitely tried to. I think I used your video to kind of show how he did it, and then I showed this workout that I worked on a good bit this summer. I just kind of using hip strength with the Bosu ball. You go to my Instagram, Brick Wall Goalie Company, to check that out. But I think honestly, I saw your video about what Brian Ruffle. It pops up on my YouTube shorts about how he kind of covers up the five hole.
Yeah.
And here, I'll stand up for a second just to show a little
All
bit
right,
better.
let's
But
do it.
he kind of drops that one knee
Right.
instead of both, and I think it might just be how my hip flexibility works or something like that. But that honestly, I found to be like a little bit more comfortable for me. And I think one thing that Intamin's so good about is he can really like kind of butterfly his legs out. And
Yeah.
I found that was one thing I just haven't been able to, and I'm still working on it, and hopefully I can get it down. But I really just can't swing out my legs like that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
find I almost am taking up a little bit more surface area if I just kind of go down to that one knee and stay square, and I can still keep my body square and everything to it. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in getting down on the ball, and I think especially for bigger goalies, like I mean, like you see, we were talking about McNaney, he doesn't drop as much, but like an Intamin, he drops all the time because it's just a little bit harder for them to get to the ground. Like one of the goalies I coached at South Carolina, Alex Petrus, he won a national championship there, and he was struggling a little bit low, and so we started trying to work him getting to the ground a little bit more, getting to the ground a little bit more. And I think at by the end of his senior year, he was getting a little bit more comfortable with it, making saves low a little bit more consistently. But I think same kind of thing we are talking about with preaching patience is you can't fall in love with the drop, and I think that's where a lot of younger goalies today kind of, and I've definitely fallen victim to it as well. Like it's just if you're dropping so much and showing love, you're just it's kind of a fun save to make, so you can almost
Hmm.
like bait yourself into it a lot of the times. And so I think it's just like we were talking about, just finding a consistency and the balance with it.
Yeah. 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 You see a lot of those top level guys, end up on their butt and sort of flop down a lot and make a lot of
Hmm.
saves. And then the young kids are like, how do I do that? How do I learn that? And I'm always like, man, don't.
Yeah, yeah,
Like stay
yeah.
on your feet when you're first
Hmm.
learning, and like because it's really, I don't know, it's really difficult. I think
Hmm.
it's a harder save to make, and these guys are, they're so athletic and they make it look so easy that maybe they're deceiving you. But yeah, certainly, when you get into the game, there's a time and place to where like I just need to do anything I can to get my body in front of it. But
Yeah.
I think you make more saves over time being fundamental and kind of staying on
And
your
so
feet.
I think you make a really good point there with like talking about once you get in game. And so like one of the things that I always talk about with my goalies is we warm up with good fundamentals and stuff like that. And so you practice those fundamentals and everything. And I think there's value in practicing dropping and stuff like that. And I think there's a time and place for it. But if you really practice staying on your feet, getting to each spot, getting your back foot off the ground, getting your lead foot to your spot you want to get to, and then once whatever happens in the game happens, it's going to happen a lot more. Even if you happen to bail or something like that, it's going to happen a lot more fundamentally if you really focus on those fundamentals when you go out to warm up.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, a lot of times you see these young goalies, and it happened to me too. I remember like some games it happened to me where like the game's not going well, and then all of a sudden like I stopped playing the way that like I know how to play. Like I never flopped. I
Hmm.
never went down on my knees for low saves. And yet now all of a sudden every time a shot comes in, even if it goes high, I'm dropping down on my knees and just totally abandoning like the fundamentals of the way I know how to play, which is that's where I
Hmm.
think you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, love it. Cool. So then you end up going to USC. Did you go there to play lacrosse or just kind of went University of South Carolina? I should specify
yes,
because I'm
sir.
from
Yes,
California.
sir.
So when I say USC,
Yes,
I
sir.
think
Gamecocks,
I think USC
which is
Trojans
the
down in
U.S.
Southern
real
California.
USC, but that's a conversation for another time. So
That's
honestly, like I mean, like played lacrosse growing up my whole life. If you asked me when I was 5, I wanted to play basketball at UNC. And then obviously we've
mm.
talked about I'm 5'6", so that definitely wasn't going to happen. And then loved playing lacrosse, and I was sandwiched between two pretty good goalies at my high school, and so like I was kind of in and out. Like I would always like my sophomore year or my freshman year, I got pulled up to varsity. Had a couple really good games on JV. One of the goalies got in trouble and they pulled me up. Played a little bit that year, played really well. Came my sophomore year came around. We had a freshman goalie come in who was a rock star, one of my best friends, Ridge Masterelli. And then we had a kid in front of me, Parrish Hinton, and we were all kind of balancing out. I got a concussion that year and just never really got. I think I was looking at it the other day. I think I had like a .212 save percentage that year or something. I only saw like 20 shots or something like that. And then my junior year came around. I was kind of in and out. I would typically like it was like I would go in a lot during the second half if the guy wasn't playing as well. And then my senior year, I just kind of I don't know. I'd been fighting for 3 years, and I was like, it was Ridge's senior year, and I was just like, I don't want to play lacrosse in college. I'm gonna just kind of enjoy my senior year, and I did, and I think it was good for me mentally. And then when it came around time to apply to colleges, I mentioned a concussion earlier, and I my grades had kind of dropped that year, and or that sophomore year, and I never really recovered them back. And so I wanted to go to UNC. I didn't get in there. I only got into App State in South Carolina. and I happened to go to UNC basketball game with this guy who was my sister's roommate's cousin, who played Tanner Tweedy, played lacrosse at South Carolina. He told me all about it, how great it was. I was still like, I don't really know. I think I'm just gonna go to App State, and they happened to win the national championship that year. And so I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. I think I'll go try to do that and try to. And so I spent that whole summer. I got back in shape. I put on some weight my senior year, just kind of enjoying myself. And I came out. I made the goalie as a fifth goalie, or made the team as fifth goalie on the roster, and steadily improved throughout the year. Never really. I played in like one scrimmage against Coker. Had like one save, got the game to overtime, then we lost in overtime. And then as the year went on, I kind of felt like I was about to get a shot, and then COVID hit, and so I came back that, and so COVID, I came back that COVID summer, and then I guess you were just asking how I got to South Carolina, and then I kind of
No, this is a good
went in.
story.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
keep it
so
going.
I came back that COVID summer, and was playing great lacrosse, and then I actually ended up getting diagnosed bipolar, and I had a manic episode and went to the hospital, and kind of stepped away from lacrosse for a little while, and coming up on 5 years from that now, and been doing great since. But that I just really take a look at myself mentally, and really get myself back right, and uh, did that, and kind of came back that junior year and ended up getting cut that next year and kept as a practice goalie and stuck with the team throughout that whole year. Like obviously we talked about the coaching. I knew I wanted to get into coaching, so I stuck around with it. Team ended up winning a national championship that year. And then I went and tried out for the I've got my Irish citizenship, and I tried out for the Irish national team that summer. The Heritage Cup, we won the Heritage Cup. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's a tournament where you play with whatever the heritage of your country is
Mm.
every year at the Final Four. It's a really cool event. If you ever get the chance to play in it, it's unbelievable. And so they kind of use that as like tryout. We won that. I got invited to the national team training camp in Limerick, Ireland, where the U23 World Championships were going on that year. So talking about Inman, I got to sit next to practices watching him play while we were trying out, which was really cool. And watching that whole thing go on. And it was me, a couple other goalies, and it was talking about goalies I loved watching. Connor Kelly, who's a goalie at Notre Dame, was one of the goalies who was on that team. Ended up getting cut from that team, and so after that, which I mean, like it was good competition. I was perfectly happy with the effort I put in, and then I was just kind of done with lacrosse, and so I was like, I'm going to start coaching, and so then that's what the last 3 years led me to coaching, and so that was kind of my college journey, where it was just I'd been up and down talking about being a backup and stuff like that, and it was just I decided I wanted to enjoy lacrosse again, and kind of coaching is how I fell back in love with lacrosse.
Beauty. It's a good story. It's a good story.
Thank you.
A lot in there. Um,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
the did the bipolar thing, did that, do you feel like that like stemmed from the pressures of like being a lacrosse goalie, or like nothing to do, totally different?
I don't know. As I mean, like I think almost I wouldn't say so, but I think it definitely affected my lacrosse a lot. Before I was like I've been on medication for 5 years now, and I think before I was a lot more like up and down and goal, and
Hmm.
just kind of wore my emotions on my sleeve a little bit more than I should have, and just let, and like talking about we were talking about like flow state earlier. I could never get into that because I was just so up and down. Like it was just everything was like the biggest thing in the world to me in a game to game. And so like being on the medication now, back playing, like I think has kind of taught me the value in being level and being even. And I think overall for goalies, it's such an important lesson that like you can't be too high, you can't be too low. You got to be right here if you want to be successful. And so I mean I think I learned that in life, and now back playing again, I think I'm trying to keep that same mindset as I go into playing.
Nice. Yeah. So important. How do you, when you're coaching now, how do you teach that to a young goalie? And what's kind of the first lessons, or how do you go about teaching it?
So I'll use this one kid as an example, Hunter Nix. He's gonna be about 6 years from now. You're gonna be hearing that name. He's
All
he's a
right.
stud. So
You
he
heard
was
it
like
here
an
on the
eighth
Lax Goalie
grade.
Rat
Yeah,
podcast first, huh?
eighth grade now, and I started working with him about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he was about 3 months into playing goalie, and he was not good. And so we really had to we really I just kind of broke it down like one lesson, like the first lesson I couldn't even. So like all how I typically start a lesson is I'll warm them up, and I could not even get past off stick side or stick side high, off stick high without just so we just did pretty much a whole lesson on that. And then the next week we did a whole lesson right here. And then the next week we did a whole lesson low.
Hmm.
And so it was just, we just kind of had to break it down for him. But as he started to figure it out a little bit more, I think the biggest thing, and I think I probably heard it in one of your podcasts, is like, it's just that idea of like the relentless confidence in Cage. So I was just like, dude, you're the best player in the world. You're the best player in the world. You're the best player in the world. So now he's like, he's stuffing me, and he's just like, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. And so it's like, you kind of have to teach him that confidence first. And then now as he's comfortable with that confidence, and he's had like, he's been playing in some bigger tournaments, and his middle school team's not very good. He gets a lot of shots, which is going to be good for him in the long run, but he learns a lot of the bad stuff. And it's just like, you gotta remember that you're going to get knocked down, but you also got a lot of talent each time, and you got to come back to that every time. And that's got to be your kind of level, is like, I'm a rock star. No matter what happens, I'm right here. And that's what I walk into the game with, is what I walk out with. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of how you, I guess you teach the confidence first, and then as they get that confidence, you kind of, and deal with more struggles in Cage. You kind of have to bring them back down, and teach them that level attitude.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Lacrosse goalie is such a weird position because, if you walk out there and you just have this like totally like unearned level of confidence, this like irrational confidence, I think someone said on the podcast, of like, you haven't done anything to deserve it, right? Like,
Hmm.
but if you walk out there thinking and also acting confident, meaning like the body language, right? And your head's up and your shoulders are back, and like, you're nodding your head and you got this like positive smile on your
Hmm.
face. Like, you're actually going to play so much better. And so like, teaching them that. And then, like you said, then you have some successes, and then it starts to fuel itself, and now you can kind of rely on that success as a source of confidence. But yeah,
Hmm.
in the early days, right, you kind of got to fake it until you make it.
Yeah, my dad would always say play with swagger. He still says it, but he's always just like, play with swagger. You just gotta
Yeah.
have swagger. And so I always try to remember that whenever I'm out in Cage. And try to I mentioned the UNC fandom, but being a North Carolina guy, I grew up watching Cam Newton, who was just all about his swagger and having fun out on the field. And I really try to take that, and like whenever I get into a game, just have a blast with it. Cause I mean, like, lacrosse is just such an unbelievable sport. And if you're not playing sport for fun, and everybody's competing at the end of the day, but I mean, like, also, you're playing because you love it, and so you might as well love it while you're out there.
Yeah. Play
But
with
it's
swagger.
it's yeah, yeah,
I love
that's a
that
Tony
expression.
Landy special right there.
Yeah, get swaggy with it. Yeah, I watch a lot of lacrosse. I mean, I watch a lot of games on TV, and I could just tell, you could just tell when a goalie's playing with swagger. And there's a lot of, little gestures that they do, and like little things that I'm like, wow, that goalie's got it. Like, they're feeling it,
Hmm.
like
I remember talking about that Heritage Cup I went to. I got to watch Intamin win a national championship, and I remember when the ball was on the other end, he literally just was like, he was just hanging out. Like, he was just stretching, like he was just
mhm.
having a good time. Like, he had no care in the world. And then once that ball came down, all he was focused on was the ball and stepping to it. And boy, did he step to it. Like, I mean, it was just, I think there's such a value in being relaxed and that getting you locked in. And I think it might have been, I think it was a goalie Smith video I saw the other day, and they were talking about like how Chase Arlen was talking about how he just, after he made that Final Four run, like he realized like that was so much fun. Like, I just gotta like enjoy this while I'm out here. And I think there's such value in that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean, I usually like the final question I'm going to ask you too. I usually say like leave us with one final piece of advice. And I mean, this is going to be podcast episode, I don't know, 280 something. And like 200
Hmm.
of those goalies have said, have fun. Like that's their advice. Cause
Yeah.
like, it's such an important thing because when you're not having fun, you're all tense, right? And you just don't
Hmm.
play as well. You just don't play as well as a goalie. And so yeah, if you can just really like, focus on having fun, you're gonna play so much better, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Entenmann was really big on that even keel as well, like don't get too high, don't get too low. And I think, when we talk about like don't getting too low, a lot of that is, like a reset routine. So I give up a goal and I've got some sort of reset routine that helps me
Hmm.
recover. But what about like what does it mean to you not to get too high?
I think it's just like so I'll use the other week for an example. We had our first scrimmage at Columbia College and I started off the game like I mean we were playing South Carolina. We're a first year program. So I mean like we're giving it our all out there, but I mean it's a first scrimmage is a first year program. It's me, one guy who's 27 years old, and then a bunch of 18-year-olds. So I mean it's a lot of guys like first college experience, and we got punched in the mouth a little bit, but that my experience in that first game was like I started off the game, I made 4 out of 5 saves. And I remember kind of thinking in my head, like, oh, I'm gonna dominate this game. I'm gonna kill it. Which I think there's value in that, but I think I almost like let myself relax a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think going into the game, I was like, I know I can play well, but I also know that there's ebbs and flows to this game. So I think if you're gonna make the effort to understand that there's gonna be these lows, you also have to make the effort to understand that there's gonna be highs. And like we were talking about the bipolar thing, I think that's one value that I learned was just like I mean there you can go manic, which is like you get it's like I would describe it as like Icarus flying too close to the sun. And so I think it can be that kind of situation in cage. And luckily I have that perspective where it's like if you get too high about yourself, you can almost become like unreasonable and like just lose focus. And so
Hmm.
I think that's where the value in bringing yourself down is.
Interesting. Yeah. It also sounds too like, there's this whole concept of just like being present and like just
Hmm.
focusing on like one play at a time and meaning like
Hmm.
I'm not thinking about like the past, but it also sounds like in that case like and I've had this happen too where I start thinking about the future where like I had a shutout going into the second half and like I'm thinking like wow, this is going to be my first like this could be my first shutout. Like I'm sort of thinking in the future and then bam, that affected the current moment because I wasn't, I wasn't fully locked in. And so
Hmm.
there's some of that going on too about not getting too high, like, not sort of thinking about a success that may or may not happen in the future, but just staying like right here, I think.
Yeah. And I think there's like I think one of the biggest things in sports, whether it's like with pitching or that, like where there is an opportunity for a shutout, it's like don't talk about the shutout. And this kind of a weird example to use here, but so I play NHL my player goalie. I think it's really like talk about like weird like talking about your using your videos on the computer. Like I like sometimes like finding ways to get better whenever I'm sitting on the couch, and that's one that I found. And I was like trying to get through these games and I just like kept thinking about like shutouts or whatever, like how I was doing. And so I kind of like I switched it to where I was like, I'm gonna think about the shutout all the time, where it's like I'm gonna get a shutout on this play. This play's gone,
Mm,
whether I give up a goal, whatever. I'm getting a shutout, whatever the next play is, I'm getting a shutout on this play. I'm getting a
yeah.
shutout on this play. And so if you give up your shutout, you're on to the next shutout. So it's like it's
Ooh.
almost you're eliminating that like um I'm losing the word, but like the like
Yeah, it's just one play at a time. Like
yeah.
you're staying present. And I
Hmm.
love that too because that works even if you're getting blown out, right? Like if it's a lot of
Hmm.
times goalies get really discouraged, especially at youth. Like a lot of times at the youth levels, there's like a lot of lopsided games.
Yep.
And they say like, well, what do I do? I get my team gets so down, and like I get down, and it's exactly that. Like come on guys, let's get a shutout on this play,
Mhm.
on this possession. Let's get a stop and just battle for that one possession, and then like
It's that
celebrate that.
0-0 mindset that I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of coaches talk about, and it's just you're just always present and focused on that play.
Yeah. Love it. Talk to me a little bit about the MCLA because I played in the MCLA too for Cal back in the day, and I was surprised. I think like in the 4 years I was there, like we cut maybe like one guy,
Hmm.
just because like I mean, if you were like somewhat athletic and had a good attitude, like you could play on the team. One guy didn't make the cut, but anyway, I was surprised to hear that you guys had cuts going on. But yeah, I mean, talk to me about sort of the level of competition and
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean, do you practice every day? Like, I'd love to hear kind of the take on the MCLA.
other programs do it different. I mean, there's like we're kind of the one end of the spectrum where we don't practice as much. Still saying we, but um like Liberty, you'll look at. I mean, they run like a full Division 1 program, which I mean,
Hmm.
obviously they've had success with that. They just won a national championship, and we've had success with our model. I'm sure there's plenty in between, but so I mean, we probably my freshman year, and this was right after a national championship. So I mean, this was the higher end of tryouts. But I think at the new guy tryout, we had this is not including returners. I think we had over 100 guys show up,
Wow. Yeah.
and
That's good.
South Carolina is the northernmost SEC school, so we get a big and they give good money out of state. So we have a big influx of New York, New Jersey, Maryland, and so I mean like I mean, like I played with a guy, Pat Riley, who started in the MCLA and went Division 1, and then there are plenty of guys that I played with that were Division 1 and came to South Carolina. Like one of my best friends, Vaughn Johnson, he played at Michigan the year before he came to South Carolina and was scoring goals against Penn State, and then came to USC and started playing. And I mean, there's just a lot of talent in Columbia for whatever reason. And I think it's a lot of credit goes to JD Harkey for the program that he built and kind of built it from the ground when he came there, I think 2014, 2015, and just slowly built it up until the national championship in 2019. And I mean, we just keep bringing in talent every year. And we don't really have to do any recruiting or anything like that. We just guys have heard about the program, whether through other guys who went to their high school or whatever. I mean, we've had a consistent flow of Chaminade Flyers, which
Mm.
has quickly become my favorite lacrosse program in the country. I mean, every kid that we've had come through there is they're just special. They know how to play the game the right way. They're extremely coachable, and it's just high quality lacrosse players. And then we've got a lot of Gonzaga guys. I played with one guy from Calvert Hall. Like, I mean, we had a lot of talent at South Carolina, and it was I think because we were that end of the spectrum where we had a lot of guys who could have played Division 1 or high level college lacrosse, whether D2 or D3. They and then they chose not to. We kind of had to find that balance of, hey, we got to get out here and get better, but also y'all are college students. You want to enjoy your life as an SEC student,
Hmm.
and so we practice Monday, Wednesday, and it's been this way. The times from last year we practiced at 9 o'clock. My freshman year we practiced at 7. 2 years we practiced at 5 o'clock, and so we practice Monday, Wednesday in the fall, Monday, Wednesday in the spring, and then we just kind of roll out. We play 2 or 3 scrimmages, and then go out there and see what happens. And I think one place where we definitely went to work more than other programs, and we noticed it a couple times with where we played, is we would consistently get in the film room five, 6 times in the fall, 5, 6 times in the spring, which I think compared to a lot of MCLA programs, it's hard to get classrooms and stuff like that. So they
Hmm.
maybe aren't watching as much film as we were. And I think that's a place that we really, really got ahead. Like especially I mean, South Carolina, every year I was there, we had one of, if not the best defense in the country. And I think that's a place where we really found value, was just kind of getting on the same page through there, and then understanding we don't have a lot of time on the field and being effective. Like we ran like the year we won it, our first hour of practice was the same every day. And then we did whatever for that second hour. But I mean, we had a lot of veteran guys that year, and so I think to answer your question, I mean, we didn't get out there a whole lot, but when we were out there, we were certainly effective with our time.
Love it. Awesome. And then so then you go, you play, and you said that you went back and coached the program, yeah,
Yes,
or
sir.
coached the goalies, I should say.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so I was going to ask because once I started coaching goalies, I wasn't playing that much personally, but I
Hmm.
I felt like my game got so much better just because like when you have to coach and when you have to teach something, you have to like understand it at like a whole new level. You know what I mean? And so I felt like just by the fact of doing that, that I was coaching others, not only in the techniques of how to save shots and stop balls, but like the mental game as well that we
Hmm.
talked about. Like I felt like my self as a goalie developed quite a bit. Did you feel the same? Did you notice the same
One
thing?
100%. I mean, like I think I'm just like now being back in the goal, I'm so much more cerebral with everything that's going on. And I mean, I also had the pleasure to help out. I mean, like a coach is a relative term. I mean, I definitely did my job with them, but I mean, we had some really special guys in the cage. I mean, I think 1 through 4 every single year we had the best goalie group in the country, and I mean, it was I think each guy I was able to take something from and learn from, and I think that was really beneficial in that aspect, but also just like being able to watch them work and communicating with them and learning their process and stuff like that was really beneficial to me. And then going to the other side of things, working with the younger goalies, you have to break everything down. Like I've been lucky enough to play lacrosse at a decently high level, and so I think sometimes you start to overcomplicate things and stuff like that. But then once you go to the younger goalies and you're teaching them how to play, like their first, as a lot of times, like especially in Columbia, like I'm the first time they've got some real like, and it's no offense to their previous coaches, but some legitimate goalie coaching from somebody who played the position.
Hmm.
And so it's you really have to like break everything down and teach it at like a baseline level. So I mean, it just makes you rethink everything that you know about the position, and so it provides like so much. I think like one of the biggest things, and it taught me like with the younger kids is just how valuable arc play is, and also then going to like coaching the college guys. I think coaching the mental game a lot because I mean
Hmm.
there's definitely some technique coaching in there, but once they get to that level, I mean there's only so much you're going to change.
Right.
And so it's a lot more of just being that support for them and kind of learning about their mental process. And then also it really made me really, especially when I coached the defense 2 years ago, it just taught me how important the clear game was. I think that was a place I really struggled as a goalie, and one of the big holdbacks earlier in my career was my like lack of value with the clear. Not that I couldn't throw a ball, but like I just didn't value the ball in the clear, and it really just taught me how to get through a clear and everything like that, and like just how important that is. And so I think there's just so many different things that I learned coaching. I mean, I think in my 3 years coaching, I learned more than in my 15 years playing.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. So what did you do to improve your clearing game? Because a lot of young goalies, even older goalies, struggle with that. I mean, it sounds like one just like a focus on like the importance of it. So let me take it seriously. But there was something like more specific that you did?
So yeah, I mean, like that definitely, but also, I mean, like I went and played in the sixes tournament with Team Arrow, which is the Irish development team last summer, and so I was like, one of the big things I wanted to. It was a sixes tournament. I was like, I'm gonna have to pass the ball a lot.
Hmm.
So I mean, I literally went out to a field, put a bucket out in the middle of the field, and just threw it at the bucket. And so, I mean, like I would just go out there and throw and throw and throw. And then, I mean, I think there's a lot of videos out there. You can just kind of look up like quarterback form passing and stuff like that. And I'll do
Yeah.
that against the wall. And then I was fortunate enough this summer, there's this wall by a gym I went to that, I mean, it probably extended out like 60 yards. And so it was like this big, massive wall. And so I would just try to hit different bricks on that from a distance. But I mean, I think the biggest thing with clearing is going out there and getting reps. And so I mean I also found a lot of enjoyment in it. Like because I mean like whenever you're going to get shots, it can be a lot. And I think it's kind of fun to just go out there with a bucket of balls and put your backwards hat on and just start slinging the rock a little bit. And so I think I really just I, I started to enjoy it. And I think I've seen a lot of a lot of improvement in it because of the work that I put into it.
Oh yeah, I love playing wall ball. I really do. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place to be. Puts a huge smile on my face, and it's awesome. Does the hat
Hmm.
have to be backwards?
It doesn't have to be. I mean,
Okay.
you can do it whatever floats your boat.
All right. Fair enough. Fair
Yes,
enough.
sir.
Love it. So then Columbia College, yeah, in the NAIA.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So talk to me about, how you ended up there.
So, in about November, I kind of decided like I wanted to go back and get my master's, get a master's in education. I was planning on going to NC State, and I mentioned the Irish thing, and I like still want to be a part of that team, and the Olympics are in 2028. So I was the
Nice.
last time I talked to the head coach of that team, and he mentioned just the necessity to be playing lacrosse. And so, I mean, I took that to heart and kind of realized I needed to be out on the field. And also, I was I didn't love my major path, and I just wasn't. I don't. I was a communications major, and I could have done something in that, like, but it just wasn't. It wasn't speaking to me. I'm somebody who needs to, I think, really be enjoying what I'm doing, and so
Hmm.
I was like, I love coaching. Teaching could be a big part of that, and so I was planning to go back to NC State. I'd been spending about 2 months losing weight, getting back in shape. Columbia College announced that they were adding the program, and who they hired, Tom Kinney, was my one of my travel coaches and Raleigh for Red Devil United. And it was now Red Devil Sweet Lax, I believe, but Red Devil United back when I was playing, and he was one of my coaches, and I always really enjoyed him, and he was a really genuine guy, and I'd actually spoken to him the year before looking for some coaching opportunities, and so we kind of reconnected through that, and then once I saw that he got hired there, I called my old director of the program, Scott Olive, who was actually Bill Tierney's talking about people who in the Raleigh area who brought up lacrosse. He was Bill Tierney's first ever recruit, and he played for him, and he's just an unbelievable guy. And I talked to him for a minute about how I want to get back into playing. If he thought Coach Kenny would be interested, and he was like, "Yeah, give him a call."
Nice.
And so I gave him a call, and I told him I was interested, and spent the next couple months kind of deciding if it was really the path for me, and so I ended up making the decision to commit in about March, and the rest is history since then.
Love it. Love it. That's awesome. Well, that's great. You're back into it. Back into it. I mean,
Yes,
I'm
sir. Yes, sir.
very envious. I'm
It's been fun. It's been
yeah.
fun.
I'm 45, but I still feel like I could get out there and
Yes, sir.
give
Yes, sir.
wreck some havoc. And so first year program, I imagine, you got guys who have like some experience, but not like a tremendous amount. And especially like if it's a first year program, it's all your guys' first year, being together.
Yes,
How do
sir.
you as a goalie be a leader in that situation? What's your take on that?
And so that's been interesting. I mean, like I think coming from a coaching background, it was something I knew that I had an ability to do coming in, but also I'm still trying to find that balance of being a player again
Right.
and not coming from a coaching perspective. So I mean, I've definitely I think one place I can always make my voice heard is just talking in cage. I think that's something like I've always done since I was in goal early on. It's just I've been a yapper, so I've just known how to communicate in cage, and I think it's one of my best abilities as a goalie. So I just kind of knew coming in I could do that. And then we've got a lot of freshmen, so I've got some more experience than some other guys, and so I'm trying to bring that in without stepping on toes and coming from more of a talking down standpoint than talking to people. And so I mean it's all a learning process, I think, right now. And I think it's just we still haven't voted on captains or anything. And so I mean I think the biggest thing is just empowering everybody to we've all got a voice. Like we've all got to like if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this together. And I think it's just I think we're starting to find our footing with it. But I mean it's we're definitely in a process, and we're all learning together. It's gonna be really cool to see where we started on I guess September 2nd, the day after Labor Day, and to our first day of practice to the end of May at the end of our season, hopefully making it
Hmm.
a long way. And I think we've got the group that if we come together, we can do it. and surprise a lot of people in the NAIA. And I think there's a lot of room for growth right now, but I think that's an amazing thing. And I think it's just I think talking about how I can be a leader is just I need to bring that energy every day. And we've got 5:30 a.m. practices, which like talking about going two days a week at South Carolina to that, it's certainly been an adjustment, but it's an adjustment I've really enjoyed. And I think just bringing that energy every day and trying to play at my highest level is the best way I can lead right now.
I love that. 5:30 a.m. That's early.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it's we get to see the sunrise every day, so that's
Yeah, there
beauty
you
in it.
go.
But it's been a change, but it's been a change that I've enjoyed. It's definitely put some hair on my chest and give me a different perspective on some things. So
Turned you into
I
early
think
bird, huh?
it's been an opportunity. It's
Yeah.
been an opportunity to get better, and we've gotten better, and we're just going to continue to do that.
Nice. How do you you mentioned sort of being a yapper and being a great communicator out of the gate. How do you, if you're coaching a young goalie and he's not that, right? He's kind of struggling in that
Mhm.
area. How do you help him? What do you say to him?
So I think it's really tough when you're doing like private lessons to be able to do that because it it's hard to like think of different things to communicate on. I think it's definitely something that I've learned that I need to improve on in my coaching is like being able to teach them how to communicate. But I mean like if I'm coaching a kid like on their team and like the biggest recommendation that I would give to coaches is literally go stand behind the goal and tell them what to say. Like I mean I would do that with like my high school
Yeah.
goalies when I first started coaching them. If they're not communicating well, you just got to kind of show them how to do it because I mean it's literally top left, top right, and then you move on to figuring out who the slides are, and then you can move on to who's the two, and telling people to do different things after you get past that. And so, I mean, I think it's figuring out I think the biggest thing, honestly, for the younger kids is they've got to learn lacrosse first, and I think that's where
Right.
I like you talked about watching a lot of lacrosse. I think that's a big recommendation I give to younger goalies is you've got to watch a lot of lacrosse because if you're not watching lacrosse, you're not fully understanding what the game is. And if you don't understand what's going on in the game, you're not going to be able to communicate it. So I think understanding lacrosse is a big thing to teach, but also like um I think I think like you could have like just an idea on a drill is like if you're sweeping across or something like that when you're giving a younger kid shots is they just got to communicate through what you're doing all the time and just forcing them to over communicate. I think that's one thing that a lot of goalies get away from as they get into higher levels, which is fair because you have other players who can communicate with you, but especially at a young age, like most of the time the goalie is the only one talking. And so you got to kind of learn how to over communicate in those situations. And then as you start to play with guys who can communicate different things to help you out, you can kind of take it down. But
Hmm.
I think it's better to talk more than to talk less.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll even tell them to like just tell me what you're thinking about. Like, you can talk about like the most random things as long as you're talking. I don't care.
Yeah, I've done that before when I mean, always have like a conversation with the goalie when they're warming up, just so that like,
Mhm.
you can still sort of do that, rub
That
your
is, and
hat and pat your belly at the same time, right? Like kind of do those two things at once.
even my college goalies struggle with that. Like they struggle with that. Like it was like I would be talking to them about like whatever class was going on, and then they would like stop and start hanging out like this, and I'd be like, "No, we're gonna keep warming up. Like you got to talk
Yeah,
and play at the same time, so you can get warmed up and chat with me at the same time."
I like
Definitely
that.
think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I like that idea too of hanging out and like telling them what to say. Because my
Hmm.
first tip when people ask that question is like, you got to teach them what to say. So literally, like, print out the words of like, here's all of the little like the lexicon, right? All of the different
I think
terms.
you've got a blog about it.
I got a blog about it, right? And
Yeah.
here's what they mean, right? And so like, and here's when you use each term, and yeah, and then they're armed with like the words that they need to say.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah. And then I was gonna say one other thing, but then I forgot. But anyway, check out that post. Oh,
Yeah.
I know I was gonna say to your point about you got to have lacrosse IQ. I just wrote an email to my list of goalies this morning because I'm doing this long pole summit event, which is like a virtual summit event, like the goalie summit, but for defenders.
Hmm.
And I talked about that exact thing of like, hey, all you goalies are going to be very well served showing up and listening to these sessions. Even though you're
Hmm.
not a defenseman, just understanding like what good defense is and the X's and O's of good defense and how to play great individual defense and you know when to make contact and how to do the
Hmm.
angles. Like you're going to be such a better goalie because you're going to be a better leader, right? And you can be that second coach on the field.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool, Finn. I feel like we could go for a whole nother hour, but maybe this is a good spot. Did we get everything? Did I miss out
I
any on
think
any
so.
great
Yeah.
stories? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Good luck, Columbia. Oh, talk to me about the brick wall goaltending. I mean, we didn't really talk about that at all.
Yeah, so I mean, I think my biggest struggle with that right now is just trying to post consistently, but definitely go check out the page. I try to post like different tips and stuff like that when I can, and then recently I've been getting into I love sports edits on Instagram, like with just different athletes and stuff like that. So I've been trying to start doing that for goalies and stuff like that, making different hype videos like that, and so check those out. But um yeah, I mean, like I mostly operate out of the Columbia area, but I'm willing to come up to Charlotte, Raleigh, Greenville, anywhere in Georgia. So I mean, like I try to go around the southeast and help out goalies wherever they can. I'm mostly just in person right now, but we're looking to start expanding to online. And if you're in the Columbia area, me and Drew Gregory, the next 2 weeks we've got on Sundays at Columbia College at 5:30. Got a couple of clinics. We try to run them similar to like a goalie smith for high schoolers where they're just getting a lot of shots, a lot of reps, and just getting better, just getting better. So it's just all about trying to bring the goalie community together, just trying to be more like Lax Goalie Rat.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Well, I love it. I love what you're doing. Brick Wall Goalie Company is the
Yes,
Instagram.
sir.
Give it a follow. I love the highlight videos along with the dad. How good was Jack
Yeah.
Kincannon or dad? You
Yeah.
know, how fundamental was it? Is Logan McNaney really going to bring back fundamentally sound goaltenders?
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
good. That's good. It gave me an idea for one that I'm gonna do. I'll steal your theme. I hope you don't mind. Dad,
Please do. Please do.
how good were the goalies in 2016 or anyway, my
Yeah.
favorite save edits. Finn, thank you so much for coming on the show. Good luck in the upcoming season. And if you had to leave the goalies out there with the final piece of advice, what would that be?
So what Tony Landy always tells me, play with swagger. Play
Play
with swagger.
play with swagger. Play with swagger. Finn, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.